Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now, your host, Lynn Pete.
Greetings and Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier, where we explore science, food labeling, food ingredients. But today, prevention. But before I get started, I want to say thank you for those who've been hanging in there. I know you may be looking for podcasts from Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier on a weekly basis. I switched over to every other week. I'll explain a little bit later, maybe towards the end of this podcast, that the bottom half of 2025, I wrote a book, came one of the hottest new releases in July. Been a little busy with that, but it has nothing to do with my podcast. That was first and it always will be. Anyway, in today's episode, you're going to hear a little bit about prevention. And I know there was an old saying. No, it was Benjamin Franklin who said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But in today's world, we don't hear that enough. We're taught management and maintenance of disease, but not always or even sometimes ever on how to prevent it. Well, today is about prevention, not fear, not perfection, but awareness and of small daily choices that we make that can protect our health before problems begin. And prevention doesn't require a medical degree. It starts at the grocery store. It starts in your kitchen, in your shoes, and sometimes even in your sleep. But before we go further, the subject matter provided on this podcast or any of our other published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner, Health News and Views. We do not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease or condition. Always check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle, dietary, or prescription drug changes. So let's get started. Prevention starts with way before the symptoms arrive. And one of the biggest myths in the health industry right now is this: well, I feel fine, so I must be fine. No. Many chronic conditions like high blood pressure, here we go talking about that already this year, right? But high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease, they develop quietly without a whole lot of hoopla, okay? Prevention means checking your numbers before they become emergencies, listening to your body before it screams, and making adjustments before medications become permanent. We don't be permanently on medication. And you've heard me say this in other podcasts before. You don't have a prescription drug deficiency, and we don't want you to have a prescription drug deficiency. We're going to make some adjustments before medications become permanent. Basically, that's what that means. Here's a preventative tip. Do you know your baseline? And I did this a couple of years ago. It's called, is your check engine light on? Do you know your baseline blood pressure? What should it be? How about your blood sugar, cholesterol, waist size, energy level? These are early warning systems, not judgments, but systems that will indicate that there might be something going on inside. Can we use food as preventative medicine? Of course, I'm going to say that. What we eat daily is one of the strongest tools of prevention we have. Ultra-processed foods don't usually make us sick overnight, but a consistent diet of ultra-processed foods certainly can wreak havoc on the body. They work slowly, and it starts through inflammation and the blood sugar spikes here and there, and then some organ stress. But you can prevent that through foods like choosing whole foods more often than packaged foods. In other words, even choosing those whole foods more than packaged foods. It's also looking at foods that have one ingredient: a carrot. That's it. A sweet potato. That's all. Collard greens. Okay. Reading labels, not just calories, but ingredients. Read for ingredients. The body doesn't understand how we process these calories and want to use them as a backdrop for our weight loss, or weight reduction. But we use calories. The body doesn't know anything about a calorie, to be quite honest. Reducing excess sugar, refined oils, and artificial additives is a plus. And this isn't about restriction, okay? It's just about crowding out harm with nourishment. Instead of having some swaps you can do, instead of having candy, have a piece of fruit instead. How about water, herbal tea instead of sugary drinks? Home cooked meals instead of fast food. You don't know who cooked the food, and for most of you, the people who are cooking the food just left your house asking for an allowance increase. Okay, so we're going to trust them with our prevention, even twice a week. If you eat a home cooked meal, that would help. And stop relying on other people to provide nourishment for you. They're not your mom. Movement is preventative medicine too. It's not punishment because you have to get up off the chair and reach something that's 3 feet away, or have to walk a little bit more distance because you had to park your car at the end of the parking lot. And you don't need a gym membership to prevent disease. You just need consistency. We all need, I'm saying you, but we all need consistency. Walking, stretching, light strength work. You know, it's funny because if I exercise just a little bit, my body just responds so nicely about this. Like, oh, okay. So it starts releasing some of the tonnage that I thought I could not get rid of. But just doing a little bit of exercise, 7-minute exercise, you decide. There's Tai Chi out there now. There's Pilates. There's different things that you can do to improve your circulation, to reduce insulin resistance, to support joint health. Protect the heart and the brain. Preventative medicine, a preventative mindset shift is necessary too. Exercise isn't always about weight loss. It's about keeping the systems working. After you get a certain age, prevention and maintaining system organs, keeping them healthy and working properly is more important than having that high school body that you had. Prevention is a mindset shift. And exercise is not always about weight loss. It's about keeping your systems working, just making sure your knees work when you want them to, or you can get into a pretty good stride. But if you can walk, you're practicing prevention. Sleep, stress, and the nervous system, they all work together. Lack of sleep and chronic stress quietly undo preventative efforts. Did you know that poor sleep can raise your blood pressure, your blood sugar, cause inflammation, cravings for unhealthy foods? Because when you should have been asleep, when the body was making repairs, you were awake. And so when you wake up in the morning because you didn't get enough sleep, you oftentimes will crave unhealthy foods in the morning. Prevention includes rest. Preventative practices, you can start to incorporate a consistent bedtime, turning off screens early, deep breathing or prayer before you sleep, before I sleep. That's me too. Protecting my peace as fiercely as I would a diet. And stress is not just emotional. We think it's because it's in our head that's where it stays. It doesn't. It's also physical. Environmental household. You may have to do some prevention to reduce the amount of unnecessary exposures to harsh chemicals and artificial fragrances and poor air quality and excessive use of plastics. That's something we'll talk about again. We did that podcast about a year ago on the use of plastics in our everyday life. We'll talk more about that this year because sometimes prevention is just simply choosing less. Open the windows, use gentler products, wash our hands, not everything else with chemicals. Just wash your hands, regular soap. We're so used to using something to kill something, and we did that. And we're going to bring that up again this year too, that you don't always have to have a chemical to kill something. And we were just getting the mindset that's what we want to do. But just a basic soap and water will just work. And, prevention really is more of an act of self-respect more than anything. It's prevention. It's not fear-based. It's future-focused. So we can prevent it today and say to yourself, I care enough about tomorrow to make a small choice today. And you don't need to change everything. Just choose one preventative habit this week. Take a walk. Maybe have a better meal. Increase your water intake. Go to bed earlier. And check in with your doctor, of course. Small steps taken consistently. Check in with your doctor regularly. I always was told that prior planning prevents poor performance. And so we want to take small steps, and we want to take them consistently to protect our lives. If this episode helped you, share it with someone you love. Your health is your wealth. Protect it. Prevention is power. And thanks again for stopping by to Food, the Final Frontier. Now let's have an attitude of gratitude this year. Anyway, in spite of everything that's going on around us, gratitude lifts our eyes off of things we lack so we might see the blessings we possess. That came from Max Lucado. Thank you very much, Max Lucado, for that. And my dad said, there is no limit to the amount of volunteer work that's out there and available to you. It's not for them. It's for you. Volunteer yourself. God gave everybody something. Offer it out. And let's see what happens this year. Make it a powerful day. Peace.